If you clicked on this video, you don't need any introduction to who this person is. In just a minute, I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown from a behavioral psychology perspective about why he did this. But first, I want to warn you, this is a little bit odd. It might be a little bit scary. So the first few seconds here, you may not want to watch. This is him going through his manifesto. You're going to hear his voice.
Haha, nice.
Not many news outlets are showing that particular footage, but let me show you really quick what some of the news media is saying. Then we'll get right down to unpacking why he did this.
A deranged shooter opened fire during morning mass, killing an innocent 8-year-old and 10-year-old.
This kid had a context that was much more serious problem than was his gender feelings.
And look, I am tired of wrapping myself around the axle trying to figure out what pronoun to use here.
Is this kid better because of the care he got from the medical system? Are any of these kids that have shot places up and had transgender treatments better because they got transgender treatment?
Well, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. Gender dysphoria is a mental disorder. But for just a couple minutes, I want to show you this from a sociology and behavioral psychology standpoint. You can go all the way into the weeds that you want aside from this with what's happening in the DNA structure, as well as what the specific traits for some of these individuals are. But if you break down this particular case, you have to look at what he has actually said with his own mouth. Minneapolis school shooter Westman confessed he was tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. Part of this is hard-coded into one of the survival mechanisms in our DNA. I did another video about that, but part of that is the fear of being rejected by your peers. Oftentimes we call this the fear of being rejected by the tribe. It's the same principle as being afraid of public speaking. Most people aren't afraid of opening their mouths to say words. It's the fear that they may do something wrong, they may be perceived as incompetent. So he was likely rejected by his peers, and he may not have a background where he excelled in anything to the point that he was actually accepted. So what happens at this point sociologically is we try to find a way to fit in. When you're struggling with gender dysphoria and it looks like it might be an option, maybe this is a way out, sometimes people will engage in this behavior hoping that this is the answer, hoping that this is a way to be accepted. If you go back 15 to 20 years, if you were grossly obese and you were a woman, or if you were grossly obese and you were a man, more than likely you were ostracized by most of the community of students. But what has happened since a movement of a particular lifestyle is that you can take a person who is completely rejected by their peers because maybe they're grossly overweight or maybe they don't have any traditional beauty features, and all of a sudden they shave their head or they dye it all kinds of crazy colors. They put a couple pieces of jewelry in their face and their nose and their lip, maybe in their tongue, and they carry around a pride flag, and all of a sudden they went from being ignored and ostracized to being powerful and brave and bold and important. And this provides identity for people who otherwise don't have an identity. Clearly, he was feeling emotionally that maybe he wasn't supposed to be a man, he wanted to be a woman. This is what gender dysphoria is, which is a mental disorder. So what do? He grows his hair out, starts putting on jewelry, starts putting on women's clothes, changes his name to Robin, and all of a sudden, this classically unattractive man is now masquerading as an even more unattractive woman. The other piece of this is called social contagion. And social contagion is when people in a group that you run with or in a group that you want to be a part of begin to push forward an idea or an ideal or an identity. And when one does it and another does it, now more people do it. And when more people do it, even more people do it. This is called the bandwagon effect, and it happens with social contagion. This is why you'll see TikTok videos of people doing really dumb things.
Got my spoon? And we'll start now.
And you know, it's terrible for you, but a few people do it and a few more people do it. Pretty soon, a whole bunch of people are doing it. Why? Because it's social contagion. That very well may be a part of what's happening here. Younger people know that if they're not accepted by their peer group, if they just go outside of the norms and embrace what used to be called an alternative lifestyle, all of a sudden you go from rejected to celebrated. You go from ostracized to brave. You go from ignored to being called bold and powerful. So likely, and I'm not saying this is any kind of a diagnosis, but likely this had something to do with social contagion. Also, part of that would be rejection by the peers. Also, part of that would be not being accepted by anyone even after making a transition. And unfortunately, the outcome is something that we all remember that just happened. So what do you think? Do you think this was social contagion? Do you think this was rejection by peers? Do you think it just simply has everything to do with what's truly and honestly a mental disorder that psychologists have known about for many, many years? Put it in the comment section.